And sometimes there's this thing around permission. Like we're waiting for someone to give us permission sometimes. Give yourself the permission. You don't need external permission from anybody.
There you
Allow
go.
yourself. Just let go, let it be, surrender into it, and just allow yourself to show up.
Hey everyone, I'm Angeline Constantinou, and this is Her Unapologetic Voice. This podcast was created for women who lead but are done leading from apology. Here we have real, unfiltered conversations about boundaries, truth, and confidence. The kind of talks that remind you your voice is not something you find once, it's something you build. Every episode will give you something real to take with you, whether it's a boundary script, a reflection tool, or simply the courage to say what you really mean. So if you're ready to lead from your truth, not from approval, this is your space. Your unapologetic voice starts here. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Her Unapologetic Voice podcast, the podcast where we break the silence, break down those barriers, reclaim our truth, and step boldly into the woman we were always created to be. Today's conversation is going to stretch you, awaken you, and honestly shift the way you see yourself. I'm joined by the incredible Tina LeAnn. She's a transformational coach, author, speaker, and a rising voice in identity-based transformation and human performance. Tina's work lives at the intersection of neuroscience, psychology, somatics, and consciousness. She doesn't just talk about change. She teaches you how to become the best version of yourself who naturally creates it. She is known for one powerful truth: your life doesn't change until your identity does. And today, we're diving deep into what that actually means and how you can begin rewriting your identity from the inside out. Tina, welcome to Her Unapologetic Voice podcast. Welcome to the stage. And how are you today?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. And yeah, I'm doing well, very well. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
I'm looking forward to this conversation too. And what is the time where you are right now?
It is 1:21 p.m.
Okay. See the power of social media, being able to connect in the US, all over the world too. So welcome to the stage and welcome to my podcast show. And Tina, I love your work around identity. What was the defining moment that led you into this path?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question. That's a story, actually.
We'd love to hear it. That's
okay.
That's why I'm looking forward to this conversation.
It was quite a journey for me to get to this place around identity. And it all started when I was little. You know, I'm just really curious person. I've always been curious. My mom used to get so mad at me because I asked so many questions and I was never really happy with a lot of the answers. You know how adults make up answers because they think the kids can't understand? And I used to get so irritated with her. I'm like, tell me the truth. I want to know the truth. I've always just been a really curious kid. And our household was inconsistent. I'll just say that. It was very inconsistent, sort of chaotic. I didn't really know what mood everybody was going to be in all the time. And so I learned very young how to be really hyper vigilant. And I would observe the family dynamics, the humans in my family and the family dynamics to determine whether or not I was safe or not, if you will. And in that, I picked up some strategies along the way of dimming my light, keeping my voice very soft, not asking for what I need. And basically, I call it the invisibility code because I could look at somebody's face and know whether it was safe to continue with the conversation or if I needed to run and hide. That's kind of a little bit of the background. And then as an adult, as I went through college and worked in my first career in mechanical engineering, I discovered that I needed my voice and it would behoove me to stand up for myself and champion myself and advocate for myself. And I was so shaky at first in using my voice in certain scenarios, not all scenarios, but definitely when it came to standing in front of a group of people. And so I kind of went on this mission of why is it so easy for some people to just be who they are? And then for others, it's it
Mm,
feels like it's so difficult, or we feel like we have to or we should do certain things in a certain way, right? And so that's kind of what led me down this path, this curiosity around human nature and why
right.
some people are the way they are and why others are the way they are and why we're all so different. We're all so different. We're hearing the same messaging, but we're all so different. And so I started studying psychology, not technically, not through a college, but just reading books constantly around psychology and human nature. I was really interested in science. And then I went also down the spirituality path. And then I
Ah,
learned that science and spirituality are very much one and the same, right? And then
mm,
as I was learning all this stuff and embodying all this stuff and living my life and implementing these things and unwinding all this stuff in myself and opening up to more and more, revealing more and more of who I was, it went from learning, sort of like focusing on behavior for a while. Why are athletes so good at what they do, right? What drives an athlete? Because an athlete has to have a lot of discipline, right?
mm,
To become professional athlete that they become. They must be very disciplined. These CEOs must be very disciplined, right? And so it's just is it behavior? Is it mindset? Is it this and this? So I was working with all these different things and I thought, this is part of it, but it's not the whole thing. And
right.
then I was riding my bike one day and I thought, oh my gosh, this all comes down to identity, but not, I had heard people talking about identity, but the way that it dropped into my system felt so different than everything that I had heard before. I started working with myself around identity and what that looks like, not the roles or the labels or the personality traits, but our identity at the soul level, like who we really are, like when we're born before all the conditioning began. And then the identity around who we feel like we could become or who we feel like we are in our full potential. We have this image of ourselves. We can see ourselves standing on stage and authoring books or teaching, whatever it is. Everybody's different. And we can see ourselves doing these things, but then there's something that stops us, right? That's where I really started diving into this work and where I've really been having a lot of fun with it in combination with NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and human design and these
Yeah,
other tools that I use.
that's great. Yeah, NLP is huge.
Yeah.
That huge, definitely. And yes, like we've been like before, our brains are conditioned and we're conditioned to believe certain things. And then there's limiting beliefs that come up and all that stuff. So why do so many women feel stuck even when they're doing all the right things? Like you said, I was at a book launch event. I was autographing books. Someone who's on stage speaking, someone who is doing a book launch event or a podcast. Why do so many women feel stuck even when they are doing all the right things? There's a block there.
There is a block there, and it can be different for everybody, but basically what's happening is when you're living your life, you're in this identity, right? You're showing up as this person in this identity. And also at the same time, your nervous system and your brain, the system, I just say this, the system is always, it's a prediction engine, right? So it's always predicting for safety to keep you safe. There's a couple things that happen in that, right? If it's always predicting your safety, it's going to unconsciously stop you from doing the things where you feel fear. And then because you've been living this way thus far, you're going to take the path of our system is just wired to take the path of least resistance. And so we're going to go to where it feels most familiar, which is this identity that we're in right now. You can say, I want to get up. I know I'm a speaker at heart. I have so much to say. I have this huge message and I know I'm meant to be on stage. And then you can sign up, you can pitch these companies to get on stage, or you can say, tomorrow I'm going to start pitching these companies. You can make a list of companies and then tomorrow comes and you think, oh, I'm tired. I'm just going to write this email first. I'm just going to balance my checkbook first. I'm just all these things, right? And that's because your system, it's just biology. Your system is staying where it feels familiar because it thinks it's keeping you safe. It doesn't care about your happiness. It cares about your safety. When we want to shift identities, when we want to step into this new identity, there's a gap, right? There's who you are now and who this other person, you want to be the speaker. I'll just stick with that one. You want to be a speaker. There's this other identity, and then there's a gap in there where once you take the first step, and let's say you actually do sit down and you pitch a few companies, that's the first step. And then you might feel a little wobbly. I call it the wobble. You might feel a
Wobble,
little
right.
wobbly at first, right? Because it feels new and it feels different and it's outside of your comfort zone. And that doesn't mean it's wrong. And so a lot of times when we step out of our comfort zone and we feel this discomfort, we think that something's wrong. We think, oh no, I don't know if I should be feeling this way. Does everybody feel this way? But she makes it look so natural. She looks like she's fine up there, you know? So our mind can get in the way and our words can get in the way, our thinking, our beliefs, right? It's just the whole game is to keep taking one step at a time through the wobble until you build the bridge from this identity to the new identity. One step at a time. Some people like to just rip the Band-Aid off and go for it.
It's so common. Even myself, like not all the time, but once in a while, there's a task that has to be done. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, oh, I slept in, because we're conditioned to be safe. That's the nervous system. So for women who feel like they've lost themselves after a breakup or divorce, so let's talk about that. Where do they even begin rebuilding their identity? Where do they start?
That's another really great question. So I'll use my own story as an example. I got divorced about almost 5 years ago now. I would say the first 6 months, 3 to 6 months, I felt like I was in a brain fog. I had been married for 21 years and we dated for 2 years prior to that, 23 years with one person, living a lifestyle, right? And so I kind of felt like I was in a tunnel and had some brain fog. And so I would say, first and foremost, just give yourself some love and compassion and take your time through the process as much as you can. You know, depending on jobs and kids and things like that, there are certain things where you have to keep going at a certain pace, but the healing process can take as long as it needs to take. There is no rush. There really is no rush on that. I would say to the women out there who are in this space of going through a divorce or something that's really huge like that, is to just one day at a time, one step at a time, and give yourself love, compassion, and space to rediscover yourself again, especially the women out there with kids and jobs who are living really busy seasons of life. I would say put it on the calendar to give yourself an hour a day, an hour a week, whatever you have time for, to take yourself out on a date or do something that you haven't done in a while. Go start painting again, or go do some pottery, or go skiing if you haven't gone skiing in 10 years. Go skiing again. Go running again. Do something that you used to do. And a lot of women say, well, I don't even know what I like to do anymore. And I always say, well, what did you like to do when you were a kid? Because it's usually, that'll give you some clues. Either that there was something in your childhood that you really liked to do that you brought through your whole life into early adulthood, but then it faded away through marriage and kids and jobs and busy life. Bring that back. And if you don't have that, go back to what you did as a kid, and there's some clues in there. And then just start there. And it's okay to take yourself out on a date or grab a girlfriend and say, hey, let's just go sit on a mountain for a minute. You know, whatever. It doesn't need to be expensive or anything fancy.
I love that. Actually, that's what I did. I took myself out.
Yep.
And I gave myself grace, because it doesn't happen overnight. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Like, I was married, you ready for this? 23 years. And we had lived together a year and a half before I actually did get married. So look at that. I mean,
It's a long time.
It's a long time. Yeah. Rediscovering yourself. And then I rediscovered that I love yoga. Like, I used, and just, I love to go out by myself, take myself out to lunch, dinner, brunch, anything.
Yeah.
And treat yourself to a massage, or or whatever lights you up.
Yeah. Take yourself on a weekend getaway if you can, if you have the resources for that. Or
Right.
went extreme, and not everybody needs to do this. A little disclaimer. I was in a season of life where I had the opportunity where I could do this because I work remotely and, we don't have children. And so I lived like a nomad for a year. And it was
Yep.
so fun. And so I knew I didn't want to stay in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I had lived for 25 years. But I didn't know where I wanted to live. And so I thought, well, I'll drive around the United States and see where I want to land. I ended up in Salt Lake City and it's beautiful here. But yeah, I just took the opportunity to just get out, and I met people along the way. And, whether I was working in a coffee shop or going for a hike or wherever, I met people all along the way and shared
Oh,
stories.
yeah.
And yeah, it was beautiful. It was really beautiful.
It's very rewarding too.
It
Like
is.
I traveled 2 weeks ago to London, and it's so rewarding. You meet people from all over the world.
Oh, it's so fun, and you hear so many cool stories.
I
It's just,
know.
yeah, it's just everybody is amazing. All the
Everyone
humans
is
are
amazing.
amazing.
Even just being in Tampa two
Yeah,
weeks, on a weekend, I'm just like,
yeah,
yeah, like the vibe, it's a different vibe. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's
yeah.
great that
That's a
you do that. We had a resident here. She actually left last year, went traveling. They traveled throughout the US, but now she's back. But yeah, it's an experience.
It is. I mean, my confidence, I mean, everything.
Mm.
I shifted so much as a human being in that process. Now, not everybody can do that, and not everybody has the resources to do that. And there are so many, no matter where you live in the world, there are beautiful areas near your home that you could go to,
And
or
I
you could
agree.
just drive a different way to work and you'll discover something new along the way. Or
Mm.
just go on to Google and go on to Google and say, type in fun things to do in my area and act like a tourist in your own town.
There you
That's a
go.
fun
There
thing
you
to
go.
do
I've done
too.
that too here too. When I first moved here,
Yeah,
actually, I would do that. And I like staycations too.
I love it. Yeah,
You could rediscover things in your own backyard.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
great. So if you don't have the resources, you could do that as well. So,
Yep,
and it's not going to cost a lot of money, and you don't have to find a place to stay. You're just out for the day.
yeah, yep,
So, a good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah.
Sunday, I'm going to the farmer's market.
Easy and fun, right? Those are so fun.
Those are fun. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the nervous system and somatics. You talk about nervous system regulation. How does that tie into identity work?
Yeah, so this is what this ties into where we were in the beginning of this conversation on your system keeping you safe, right? And your
Right.
system, the prediction engine. And so if you're in fight or flight, freeze or fawn, your system is going to hold you in this space, right? And so if you're running on high in fight or flight, you're overtaxing your system, and you can't think clearly, and your shoulders feel tight, your whole body
Right.
is just like in it, right? So what I work to do with my clients is to using the breath and meditation. We do guided meditation in our sessions, and just breathing, just bringing ourselves back into our bodies. Just what I recommend, we all have busy lives, and I get that, but stillness is so important. And I know some of the listeners out there are going to be like, I do not have time for this.
Right, exactly.
Right? And
Hey,
so
guess what? I thought I didn't have time for it either. But being still, yeah. Learning to
will
get comfortable in the silence and stillness. Love that.
And that will save you so much time in the end. There's this story that I'm going to totally botch this, but it's something to the effect of like two people are going to cut down trees, and the one guy starts cutting down trees right away. He takes his axe and he starts cutting down trees. The other guy goes and sharpens his axe for an hour, and then he comes back and he starts cutting down trees, and he actually gets more trees cut down than the other guy. And so
Right.
this is kind of the same thing. If you sit in stillness, even for just 5 minutes a day, it will literally save you so much time in the end, because you're bringing your nervous system into a regulated state, and you're bringing your body, your mind, body, and soul into coherence, which will help you stay calmer through the whole day. You'll have more clarity, so you can make decisions quicker and faster and easier, and you'll get the answers. I don't want to say You'll make more efficient and correct decisions. I hate to use that word correct, but when you're in a rush and you're just like,
Oh, I
let's
know.
just do this, and then you end up backtracking and redoing things, right? And so when you're still, even for just 5 minutes a day, do 15 minutes if you've got it, half an hour if you've got it. That will change your entire life. It really will. And also, I will say, we all have these phones in our hands and we're scrolling, and just put the phone down, scroll for 5 minutes less. Just
There
put the
you go.
phone down and just sit in stillness. And that's it. And now, if you're running on high alert, fight or flight, the first time you sit in stillness, it's going to feel very uncomfortable. And maybe you can only start with a minute. If you're running really high, maybe you can only start with a minute. Meet yourself where you are, and then start from where you are, and then build on it little by little by little every single day. And it really will change your life.
Are you a local business owner in Stewart looking to get your brand in front of the right audience? My name is Angeline, and I am the host and founder of Let's Break the Silence, a podcast dedicated to empowering women to heal, rebuild their confidence, and step into their next chapter. I'm currently partnering with a select number of local businesses who want more visibility and deeper connection with women who are actively investing in themselves, whether that's through wellness, beauty, personal growth, or lifestyle. This isn't just about advertising. It's about building real partnerships and highlighting businesses that are truly making an impact in our community. If that sounds like you, I would love to connect. Please send me a message or reach out. Let's collaborate and grow together. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought that out, because that's so important. Like for myself in the morning, I do not look at the phone. I am not scrolling, because how you start your day is how your day is going to look like.
Yep.
So if you open up the phone and you hear bad news or read something, you're going to be like, oh. So I do meditations, I journal, and I pray, and I do healing work. And by the time it's all over, it's an hour, and I journal. But it gets me in that state, that state of gratitude, and also I feel calm. So addressing your body and doing that to calm your nervous system is so important, and I love doing it. And I'm glad that you had talked about that. One powerful shift someone can make today to start recoding their identity. What is that one powerful shift someone can make today?
Aside from, first of all, sit in stillness, that's number one. And then another thing that your listeners can do is sit down for a minute, grab a piece of paper or a journal. If you are a journaler, as Angeline, you are, I am too. Yeah. Grab your journal, grab a piece of paper, and just write down where you are now and where you would like to go. If there's something you want to shift in your life, whatever it is, it could be, I want to drink more water in a day. It could be, I want to start eating healthier. It could be, I want to start exercising. Or it could be, I want to leave my job and start a business. It could, whatever it is, big or small, it means something to you, right? And so write down where you are now and what you want to do. And then write down one action step that you can take right away to make that shift, and then go do it. And so what you're doing then is you're showing your unconscious that you mean business. You are showing your unconscious is running 95% of your life, right? And if you've been, I'm going to use the water one. This is an easy one that a lot of us are trying to accomplish in life, right? I know I am. It's dry here in Utah. So I'm always like, I have to drink more water. Let's say I set up yes, you got your water. So let's say I set up a goal. I'm going to drink, I don't know, 2 liters of water per day. Okay. So right now, when we get off this podcast, I'm going to go fill up 2-liter bottles of water, and I'm going to put them on my counter, and I'm going to actually take a drink of water. What that does is it's showing your nervous system. You're telling your unconscious and your nervous system, you're telling your whole mind, body, spirit, soul that I mean business. I'm going to take care of myself. I said I was going to do this, and look, I actually took an action, and I'm actually doing it. And then your system is going to be like, oh, even though this feels uncomfortable, And we were safer over here without drinking water. Even though this feels a little uncomfortable, maybe not, might feel really good. But just in case, this is how the nervous system works when you're making changes. Let's say, even though this feels a little uncomfortable, walking to the counter 25 times a day to take a drink or carrying a bottle around is going to feel different than not carrying it around, right? Even though this is feeling uncomfortable, we're doing it. And we're not dying.
Exactly.
And it's okay. And so what you're doing is you're showing your unconscious that you mean business, and you're rewiring and recoding your system to understand that I got you, I got me, and we're safe. I know
There
what
you
I'm
go.
doing. I know we're safe. We're just making this little shift. Then also what happens is you start to trust yourself more again. A lot of us women trust in ourselves over time because we're abandoning ourselves first all the time to take care of everybody else but ourselves.
There you go.
And we stop trusting ourselves. And so we can start with these little things, water, eating healthy, exercise, whatever it is. We can make a promise to ourselves and we can stick to it. And then we're showing our entire system that we really love ourselves and we really care about ourselves and we are trustable. And then it layers one step at a time, and you start trusting yourself more and more and more. And you can do bigger things or more things, or you just start to feel calm in your body. We don't always have to be striving for something big and grandiose, right? You'll start feeling calm and more peaceful in your body.
Right there. And I'm glad you brought up the trust, because I was about to
It's
ask
so
you.
huge.
That is so huge because we're abandoning ourselves, taking care of other people.
Yeah.
Take care of you first.
Yes. And that's the thing that I didn't understand at first. That's the thing that if I would have known one thing when I started along this self-development journey of mine, if I had known that, it would have changed everything for me right from the beginning. And we don't even realize, like, when when a friend asks us out to lunch, let's say, and our calendar is jam packed and we're like, oh, there's no way I can fit this in, but we say yes anyway. And then this person asks, your coworker asks, hey, can you help me with this? And there's no way you have time, but you say yes anyway.
Yeah.
And there's each time you're doing that, you're abandoning yourself to some extent, right? And then you stop trusting, and you just, after a while, it's just your go-to. It's just, it's a habit, and it's in your system, and then it becomes familiar with your system, and then you just keep on doing it. So for the women out there who are in the space of learning about boundaries and saying no to people that you used to say yes to all the time, and that's going to feel uncomfortable at first.
That's true. That was for me at first.
Me too.
Going in my journey, learning to say no, and setting healthy boundaries. Well, first, but then after a while, you get used to it, I guess. It's a shift.
It is a shift. And then in that case too, with the boundaries, that's a tricky one, because if you're saying no to somebody you've always said yes to, they're going to look at you like, what? Wait a second. What? No, you always say yes to
Why are
me.
you saying?
And so not only are you taking care of yourself in that moment, but you're also, then you're coming up against, or then you're coming up like, whoa, that face expression. Oh, I hope I didn't let her down. Oh, I hope this didn't ruin our friendship, whatever it might come up. So then you're contending with that too. And it's okay. It's going to be okay. As you said, it gets easier and gets easier. And then people just start to, as you're treating yourself with more love, people will start to recognize what's going on, and then they will be more considerate and respectful of you and your time.
There you go. I love that. Absolutely. What does aligned authority actually look like in real life? Let's talk about leadership and authority. What does that look like in real life? And why do so many high achieving women still struggle with self-doubt?
That's a good question too. High achieving women, we're the ones who, if we feel like something is not going right in our life or doesn't feel right, we'll go look for answers, right? We're going to read books and listen to podcasts, and we're gonna look for everything we possibly can look for to figure this out on our own, because we're high functioning, high achieving, independent. We got this.
Right. We got
this, right? Yeah.
I love that.
And then we don't have time to actually implement it. And so now it's just knowledge, right? And so therein lies the gap. And so for those high achieving women out there, if you feel like something is a little off in your life, just do one thing at a time. Learn about it. If that's your go-to, learn about it, but then maybe read one book and then implement what you read in the book before you go to the next book.
There you
Listen
go.
to one podcast, implement what you heard in that podcast before you go to the next podcast. It's all about embodying what you're intellectually learning. It's shifting it from the head to the heart. It's bringing it into the body so you live it. Then when you start living it, like we said, your nervous system starts to shift. You become more regulated, you become more peaceful, more calm, more confident. You trust yourself more, which that radiates out, and people can just feel that. And
Oh,
when
sure.
you show up like that, you're just a beautiful presence to be around. And then you're actually giving, it's the greatest gift you can give anyone, I believe, because when you show up in your authentic, aligned leadership, you're giving the person sitting next to you or in front of you or people in the room, you're giving them permission to show up as themselves too.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. And I know that you talk about collapsing timelines. What does that mean, and how can someone apply it?
You did your research. I love
Oh,
this.
yes.
Yes, if you want to collapse a timeline, this is a fun one. This is a rip the band-aid off situation. I love this. If
Good.
you want to collapse a timeline, say yes to something that terrifies you. Like, let's go back to the speaker example, right?
Okay.
I'll use myself as an example. I'm getting my voice out there, these past few years because I just like feel so strong with my messaging and how I'm working with people. And so I'm just feeling this, I'm just loving this whole environment. Last year, I want to start speaking on some more stages. And then I thought, well, I think I want to do a TED Talk, a TEDx talk. And I actually looked up how to do that and then hired a coach to help me. And
Good.
in that, as soon as I signed the papers, I just sat back in my chair and I was like,
I'll just say, like, I'm going to be an international keynote speaker in Santorini in June, right?
yeah.
You're like, what did I just do?
That's the moment with the timeline collapse. It's in that moment where you say, I want to do this, and then you take the big action and it's done and you're on the train without brakes and you're just moving forward and you're doing it. And that's how you collapse timelines because then you're in this trajectory, you're in the forward momentum and you're just riding the wave. Instead of saying, I could have said, well, this TED Talk thing came into my mind, let's say, and instead of signing up with a coach, I could have said, oh, wait till next year. I just collapsed probably 3 years of procrastination by saying yes and signing up with that coach right then and there.
That's great.
Right? That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Yes,
Yep.
definitely. I love speaking on stages. To me, and I'm going to get on more, God willing, this year. I was actually invited
Very
to
cool.
speak in Thailand. November, it's during Thanksgiving, but I don't care. They don't celebrate Thanksgiving over there.
Yeah.
But I don't care, it's an opportunity. And this, I spoke in London, just on a side note, everyone, at the
Oh,
fifth
yeah.
edition International Women's Forum. This was in London in the UK 2.5 weeks ago, and I received an award, certificate of international keynote speaker. And you would be amazed. People are watching us. We don't realize, but people are watching us. So
Always.
talk collapsing timelines. I'm so glad you hired a coach. And,
Yeah.
and more women, we should do that. We all need to amplify our voices. This
Yeah.
conversation is about being the voice for change. So what does it truly mean to become the woman you desire to be?
It means fully, how do I want to say this? Fully integrating and allowing yourself to step into or to reveal more of who you are and to just show up as that.
There you go.
To just allow yourself. For us women, sometimes there's this thing around permission. Like we're waiting for someone to give us permission sometimes. Give yourself the permission. You don't need external permission from anybody.
There you
Allow
go.
yourself. Just let go, let it be, surrender into it, and just allow yourself to show up as you've always wanted to, always dreamed of, but maybe for whatever reason have held back.
There you go. Don't hold back. Don't hold back. One last question before we close this out. If there's one identity your audience needs to release today, what would it be? Your clients? And one identity do you invite them to step into instead? And where can people find you?
I will invite your listeners to release the identity of the people pleaser and step into the identity of self-leadership. with loving, strong boundaries. And people can find me on my website, thesovereignsoul.co. Everything is there. And then I do little short videos on Instagram every day at I am Tina LeAnn. And I also have a podcast, the Sovereign Soul Podcast. Those are the main places where you can find me, but everything's on my website.
These will all be in the show notes. So this has been a very powerful conversation. If this episode spoke to you, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, who have I been and who am I ready to become? Because as Tina shared today, your transformation doesn't start with doing more. It starts with becoming more aligned with your true identity. Tina, thank you so much for this powerful conversation, your wisdom, the depth, the work that you do, the work that you are doing to help women step into their power in such a profound way. And to everyone listening, if this episode resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another woman or friend who needs to hear this message. And if you're ready to go deeper, to truly break free from your past and step into your next level identity, I invite you to connect with me and explore what it looks like to work together. This is your moment, and your voice matters. Your story matters, and your next chapter is waiting for you. This is Her Unapologetic Voice, and I will see you in the next episode. Everyone have a great day. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Her Unapologetic Voice. Every conversation here is meant to help you build confidence from the inside out and find strength in your own words. If today's message resonated, follow the show and share it with a friend who's ready to lead from who she truly is. You can also connect with me on social media at Her Unapologetic Voice Podcast for updates and behind the scenes insights. Remember, confidence begins when you stop apologizing for your truth and start speaking from it. I'm Angeline Constantinou, and I will see you in the next episode.